announced your retirement as leader of the Tibetan government in exile. How has your life changed?
Not much change, because the last 10 years, since 2001, we already have political leadership through election, elected political leadership already there. So since then, I usually describe my position since then, semi-retired position. So the main work, main decision in the hand of the elected political leadership's hand, not my hand, not my hand. So not much change. Of course, mentally, now, or what I call relinquish all the sort of political sort of what's the responsibility. So I feel more free, and I can devote my energy, my time, mainly to other my commitment. That is number one commitment. I'm as a human being. On that level, I consider it is important in order to be happy human life. The ultimate source is within ourselves. Most of the people say not looking that way, just money or some other material facility. That's the ultimate source of happiness. That's wrong. Of course, we need material value, material facility, but ultimate source of happy life is here. So that's my sort of number one commitment, to educate people, make aware that thing, irrespective of whether religious believer or non-believer. Then second, promotion of religious harmony. So now I can spend more time on these two fields.
How will your retirement impact the future negotiations between the Tibetan government in exile and the Chinese government? Will you disengage yourself from the process completely?
Oh yes, theoretically yes. Now I have no longer sort of responsibility. In case our elected leadership need some my help, then I always available. Like that.
You have dealt with the Chinese leaders for the past 60 years. What lessons have you learned from dealing with them for the past 6 decades?
6 decades. Then, first lesson, I very much attracted about Marxism. So at that time, I expressed I want to join Chinese Communist Party. Still, I am Marxist. As far as the socio-economic theory is concerned, I am Marxist still. So that's one impact. Then, of course, the I think last since mid-50s, then things change. Obviously, I very much sort of frustrated about hypocrisy. Saying something nice, but doing something different. And then, sort of too much suppression, particularly the last 50 years. So then I really respect or admire democracy, freedom.
You have dealt with 4 generations of Chinese leaders, from Mao Zedong to Hu Jintao, and we know soon that Mr. Xi Jinping will take over as the 5th generation leader. What are your observations of Mr. Xi, and what is your hope for him?
I don't know much Xi Jinping. Of course, his father I know quite well.
Xi Zhongxun.
Xi Zhongxun,
yeah.
秘书长, Xi Zhongxun, very nice, very jovial. That I remember. But his son, I never met, I don't know. Some people say he's thinking naturally sort of a younger person, so he's thinking, some say more sort of open-minded, but I don't know.
A lot of Chinese people feel the Chinese government have put tremendous resources into developing Tibet. And they cannot understand why there is such widespread discontent among Tibetans, both inside and outside China. Do you think Tibetan people are ungrateful?
Now, we are human beings. Even Chinese people themselves, it is not sufficient just to give food, shelter. We are human beings. We love some other values. Indian Prime Minister, when he visited Washington, he mentioned the economy field, India behind than people talk of China. But India, some other fundamental values, that is democracy, freedom, rule of law, transparency, freedom of speech, freedom of press, these things, which China is lacking. So these are fundamental value, human being. Now, even if the Prime Minister, Wen Jiabao himself, several times, several occasions, he expressed, now China economically, economy field, much advanced. Now, it is highly necessary some political reforms. He openly sort of stated. And like him, I think a lot of sort of voice about the freedom, these things now growing in China.
As you just mentioned, China.
So therefore, you see, Tibetan, firstly, like any other human being, he loves freedom. Too much restriction. Then naturally, you see, feel some kind of sort of, or say, uncomfortable. That naturally. Then, Tibetan case, we have our own language, our own script, and in that script or that language, the very rich Buddhist tradition, Buddhist philosophy. So the local authority is putting restriction in these sort of subject about Tibetan religion, Tibetan culture, and that tremendous hurt. So food, shelter, food is secondary. Main thing is our culture, our own 1,000-year-old spirit. When you see someone touching that field, naturally, I think Chinese Han brothers, sisters.
I was going to mention that, as you mentioned, the Chinese economy is the second largest now in the world.
Yes.
As a spiritual leader, what is your diagnosis of the spiritual state of the Chinese people today?
According to some information, number of Chinese, including many party members, now showing interest about spirituality more and more, I heard. And then the last few years, say more and more Chinese Han brothers, sisters from mainland China coming to see me. And many of them, when we met, crying. They really genuinely express their sort of what's today, their interest about Buddhism. So according to some information, the number of Buddhist believers nowadays in China, nearly 300 millions. Some say that, like that. So in any way, after all, this is China, historically Buddhist country. When I was in China, 1954, 55, a lot of temples, a lot of monasteries. So you see the bound, you see they, like in the other sort of countries where materially highly developed, so people from such sort of society, now more, I mean, a number of cases, people who have everything, even millionaire or billionaire, but they find something missing. So among such people, now gradually you see turning spirituality. So in China also, now economy growth eventually bring another level. People then feel it is something missing. Only money is not sufficient. And then also, you see, the corruptions, immense corruption. So these clearly sort of shows their lack of principle, moral principle.
Talking about the younger generations in China, the younger generations in China today face a lot of issues in their lives. And why do you think they should care about Tibet and what's going on there?
Oh yes, ordinary Chinese not necessarily to take care about Tibet very far.
Yes. So
but the Chinese government, you say, have to take care.
So what is your message for them, for these younger generations of Chinese, about Tibet, about the future of Tibet, and about the future relationship between China and Tibet?
I think firstly, those Chinese who feel some interest about Buddhism, then Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhist culture, there's great potential to serve millions of young Chinese brothers sisters. It is clear. Then those young Chinese who remain in big cities, very dense populated, and too much pollution, and then such sort of young couples or young people go to Tibet and get sort of fresh air and some sort of really blue sky. That also, you see, may help to get some kind of tranquility in their mind.
But will that mean more Han people will go into Tibet, which a lot of Tibetans are critical of?
I mean, it's a tourist. But settling there is their own sort of health problem also there. And particularly giving birth in high altitude, sometimes harmful.
Okay.
Tibetan native people, through generations, they are different matter. So, Han brothers, sisters permanently remain in Tibet. They themselves also find the difficulties.